Hey guys. Janet, yes. Yep, Zuck is now a Zucking PhD. Yes, Zuck is now a Zucking PhD. He probably got that from a Zucking donation to Harvard. that will get you your Zucking PhD. Just, donate a building or something. And of course, they'll give him a Zucking PhD. Exactly right. So, yes, I have a Llama PhD. Yes. So, welcome, people. And like a ton of you already left here. When I started the scope, I had like 40 people, and then in like a flash of a second, they all disappeared, and it became 20 people. I don't get it. It's like, did I fall out of the global list like all of a sudden? Did I fall out of the global list like just in a flash? I guess I flashed in the global list and it disappeared. Can somebody tell me if I'm on the global list? Looks like I'm not. I was. Welcome, guys. Or I should say, ladies and gentlemen, welcome everyone. Welcome. So what's in the news, people? What's in the news? What's in the news? What's in the news is what I want to talk about is Zuck. Zuck did a commencement speech a few days ago. Zuck did a commencement speech a few days ago, and I was like, what a zigzag! What a zigzag! This guy is like Zick. It's a zigzag. It's like his ideas are completely twisted. It made me think. It made me think about Dr. Zuckerberg. Dr. Zuckerberg. Okay. It made me think about Dr. Zuckerberg, and I said, is Dr. Zuckerberg truly just misguided? Is he just truly misguided, or does he really have is he twisted in his ideas, or is he hiding something, and is he hiding something, and he just giving us this fake personality, and he has different thoughts inside his brain? I don't really know. I'm gonna give him the benefit of the doubt today. Yeah, he's Dr. Zuckerberg. Dr. Zuckerberg. I'm gonna give him the benefit of the doubt that maybe he's just misguided. He's he's so full of himself that his idea of life is based on his own experience alone. He actually thinks that everyone has the same experience base as he has, so his view of the world is twisted in two ways. What's his degree in? I have no zucking idea. So, Doctor Philosophy, obviously, whatever this philosophy is. Doctor of Zuck Philosophy, who knows? But his idea is, and I want to talk about it. I want to talk about it because it's like a. Let me use the head. There's so much background sound. I want to use my headphones so I can see what you guys are hearing here. I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt that he's actually a good person underneath, and that we just maybe just he misunderstands life. But we're going to dissect a little bit of what he talked about. He did a commencement speech. First of all, he got a PhD. He got a PhD, Dr. Zuckerberg. I wonder what he donated. Maybe a few buildings. So he got a PhD, and for some donation. I'm sure Harvard is very happy to give him anything he wants with a little bit of money. Same with Gates, and he did a commencement speech at Harvard, and he did the usual, the biggest problem in the world is global warming kind of thing, yeah. I'm wondering if he is actually part of the disinformation campaign or actually believes it. I'm actually not sure. Drop out of Harvard, become a billionaire, and then they give you a doctorate. Exactly. So I'm not sure if he's actually just truly a sick zigzag, or he really believes this. He really believes this, and it's just has a different sense of reality than the rest of us. Some of the things that he said, let me just round out a few of them that just boggles the mind. He actually said that all of us, we need to cure disease. So all of us need to submit to basically submit our DNA genome to a central authority and say, here's our genome, here's our DNA. Everyone sends their DNA to I don't know, Google. The government? I'm not sure exactly. Maybe maybe he means maybe submit it to submit your genome to Google because Google's already, some of the investors of Google are already affiliated with 23andMe, the DNA company. So I don't know, but let's just examine a little bit at a time here and say, what happens, folks? What happens when you give your DNA to a Zucking central authority? Does he believe that there's just no evil in this world? Does he believe that no evil exists in the world? We already have people who are racist. We already have people who are racist. And can you imagine looking at everyone's DNA and saying, oh, you have a trace of hey, you have a trace of black in you. You have a trace of black in you. So we need to wipe you out because you're impure. You're an impure race. Need to wipe you out. Oh, you have, hey, you're Jewish. DNA. On and on and on. I mean, this just the stuff that you can find out from DNA, and it's like, what the zuck? Or here's another one. Okay, let's abort all newborns that have this kind of DNA profile because they're gonna die anyway. They're gonna die anyway. So we don't want this kind of disease to propagate. So we will now choose who is born, who is not born. Everyone puts their DNA in a central area, and then some authority decides. You know what happens when you give data to somebody? Somebody always uses the data. So this, Zuckerberg is like sick in the zucking mind. Truly sicko. What the zuck does he? What is he thinking? What is he thinking? That you just collect this data, that no one is going to zucking use it for anything bad. Data is only used for zucking good. Is he Zick? Yes, he's Zucko. He's completely Zucko. I mean, this is the twisted brain of this zucking millennial here. Okay, twisted brain. This is why he believes that data should be collected about everyone in the entire world, because he claims, at least on his commencement speech, you can sense that he doesn't think that there's any danger to data collection because maybe he thinks he's the only one that's going to use it. And maybe he thinks he's good. Maybe he thinks he's good, so he thinks, okay, no one else is going to use this data. So now we have 90% of the data about every single human being kept, not every single human being, but a whole ton of them. The majority of human beings that can use a computer, and that is between Google and Zuckerberg. Two entities control 90% of the data. And if you add Bezos in there, Amazon, I mean, we're totally zucked. And this guy thinks you can't go wrong. There's no possibility of going wrong here. There's no issue. You can collect all this data, and there's no consequence. The only consequence is good, because we can collect this data for treating medical disease and so on. Them I'll give you a way of treating medical disease. Let's kill off anyone with a disease. Or let's not make them get born. They don't even need to be born. We'll just find out anybody with a disease and wipe them out from our DNA, and there you go. Just wipe them out of our DNA by saying anybody born with this is now profiled or killed at birth or in the womb. Just kill them. Then we won't have any disease. So unless he really thinks that no one would ever use the data, it's the same concept that he has, that he collects all the data about everyone and everyone's activities, everyone's location, everyone's thoughts, everyone's beliefs, everyone's likes, everyone's friendships and enemies and so on. And we have all of this being collected, and he actually believes, based on, if he's authentic, He actually believes that there could be nothing ever to go wrong with that. Nothing can ever go wrong with that. And so this is the guy that apparently never read the book 1984. He never, yeah, we're going to get into the political issues as well. But he apparently never read 1984. I'm going to repeat this again. This is what we're talking about, red nuts. This is what we're talking about. So I just started with the first issue that he brought out, which is that we are supposed to put all of our DNA into a central repository so that it can cure disease. Can you imagine being filtered out in insurance, in healthcare, in jobs based on your DNA? Oh, you have a potential for dying, so you're not a good risk for insurance. Oh, you're not a good risk for employment because you may not last. Or you have a propensity for certain kind of, behaviors, maybe behaviors that have been identified to be tied to DNA. Maybe you have anxiety and it shows up in your DNA that you're likely to have anxiety because your serotonin levels are not normal. On and on and on. I mean, it's like, oh my gosh. This is the kind of sick kind of attitude we have with people who say, we don't need any Zucking privacy, even with our Zucking DNA. Let's have it out there. That's the guy you're dealing with. That is your Zuck. That is your Zuck right there. And now you tell me why I believe what I believe. Why do I have this attitude about Zuck? Now you understand. Now you understand. You're not even polite to me. Why, Joe? I'm like looking at the camera here, and trying to look at you, and if there's not Emily, it's at scopingproducts.com, and they have a light blue one for women. Other scopes? What do you mean other scopes? What are you talking about? Where were you in another scope? Is he the owner of the program that finds her ancestry? No, that is owned by, the Ancestry one? No, but I don't know. I actually don't know. But but Google people own 23andMe. Google people who are investors in Google are investors in 23andMe. That's the DNA company. So why can't the guy, because there's no size, it's a women's style T-shirt. Not Orson Welles. Orwell. George Orwell, not Orson Welles. Orson Welles is different. Yeah. George Orwell. But that's not, but 23. George Orwell was not actually his real name. But what about paternity DNA data? Would that be the same? Yes, and you can, then Zuck would know who's related to whom just by DNA. I mean, you don't even need friends. Can you imagine this, guys? That's a good one. That's a good one, Moonstar. Can you imagine this? You send all your DNA to a central repository accessed by Zuckbook. Zuckbook then automatically figures out your relatives. How about that? Zuckbook figures out all of your relatives automatically by DNA because he said you should send your DNA to a central place. And then and what is the consequence of that? They said, wrong father. Wrong mother. I can just see it. Oh my gosh! It's just I have that in my ancestry. Where'd that come from? I thought I was such and such. Oy vey! No, my dad did a DNA, not the father. Oy vey! Like there was we were talking to some friends, and DNA stuff. It's just interesting. Because this one guy did a DNA test and expected the usual these are my parents and this is where I came from, and then it turns out that this was somebody I think thought that he was of Scandinavian descent and so on, and it turns out that that someone in the family had an affair, and that he was actually half Jewish. Had no idea. Had no idea. And it's like, it's like a shock to him, because, all of the stories about the family, and that this is our ancestry and so on, and it sounds so simple, and then you suddenly realize that DNA doesn't lie, and it's like, we don't have the same Zucking DNA, and I'm actually not connected to this part of the family because of the usual things that people do. What do people do? So it's just very interesting. That's just the social implications of saying send your DNA to a central repository. Send your DNA to a central repository. It's zucking dangerous. It's zucking dangerous socially. It's zucking dangerous politically. It's zucking dangerous from a George Orwell 1984 point of view. It's zucking dangerous, and it's basically, if you think about this element of we'll make a special T-shirt for you, Emily. For $500, you can get your own special T-shirt. Don't zuck me. So it's I found out I was Jewish. I might find out. Why would you hang yourself if you find yourself to be Jewish? Why would that cause you to hang yourself? I did my genome and said 9.7% unidentifiable. I want yours as others are not. I want yours as others are not special. That's an expensive T-shirt. So anyway, back to what I'm saying is there's a consequence to data collection. There's a consequence socially. There's a consequence politically. There's a consequence in terms of control. And this is why somehow Zuck never gets the idea that privacy is important in society. Zuck has no zucking idea the importance of privacy in society. And this is one of the reasons why we control ourselves in society, because we understand that people can get hurt from too much information. And sometimes you withhold information as a white lie out of respect. Out of respect. Just like if your mother had an affair and didn't want to tell you, didn't want to disturb your life, and doesn't talk about the fact that you're born out of an affair. So nobody wants to know that, but it's quite common. What is this no offense that you keep saying, Latino? Sorry, typing one hand. At least you're not typing in caps. Out of respect, booty. So it's so privacy is not in his vocabulary, and he doesn't really. This guy needs to study some sociology or anthropology or something to understand human nature and understand why privacy is part of our way of living. Privacy is part of the way people have self-control. Privacy is a right that we have to get a sense of peace and a sense of allowing us to change. Whatever we were some time ago may not be what we are in the human beings. Were allowed to change. The absence of privacy means that we are no longer allowed to change, because whatever we do is written out in indelible ink. And this is your Zuck with this kind of twisted philosophy. This is your Zuck with his twisted ideas about the world. Okay, now let's move forward with some other ideas that he has. And of course, he talks about global warming as being, the biggest issue to him. Global warming. Okay, so he doesn't have any idea that the biggest issue of the day is what he's doing. The biggest issue of the day that he is creating Zucking Skynet. This idiot is creating Skynet, and he's such a Zucking millennial and with so much money. They say, well, I make so much money and I need to give it to the government. I need to give it to the government. I make too much money, so yes, I need to. I deserve to pay this to the government, and I need to pay for these services that everyone wants. And one of the services that one of these services that he wants to provide is universal basic income. Universal basic income. Now, hello D Pace. Now, universal basic income to him is not about welfare. No. He was not thinking about welfare. Universal basic income to him is about being like a venture capital fund. This is totally sicko kind of idea. He actually says that millennials are a entrepreneurial kind of group. I guess every Zucking millennial I've ever seen is an entrepreneur. Okay. I don't see that. I mean, I have millennial family members, many of them. I have 2 millennials in this house. Okay. I have many millennial relatives, and all of these relatives are not all the entrepreneurial type. And let me just explain what. Let's give Zuck the benefit of a good explanation here as to what he said. What he said was that because the millennials are entrepreneurs by nature, I guess, according to him, 90% of or the most of the millennials are entrepreneurial. So he said, well, everyone needs to try out multiple times. Like he said, he said, I wrote many other programs before Facebook. This is Zuck. And I had to try a few times before I got something. He said that J.K. Rowling's wrote like 12 books that she submitted before Harry Potter ever became successful. So she tried many times. So she gave more and more examples of people, more and more examples of people who supposedly had to try multiple times to succeed. So he said, stole the code to faith. So he said that the idea of being an entrepreneur is that we need to be able to try new things, new ideas, and we should not deprive the world of good ideas. And by doing a universal basic income, then people can come up with basic ideas and not have to worry about survival while they come up with the idea and try it. Okay. Now let's analyze that. Some of you, especially the progressives, will say, "Hey, that's perfect. That is perfect. Let's do that." Okay. The reality is, people. The reality is, how many people do you know are actually idea creators and entrepreneurs that can create ideas, like startup companies? What is the proportion of people that are entrepreneurs versus people who just want to make a living and not really focus in their job on difficult problems such as starting a new business? I am an entrepreneur. I like to do things. It's a big struggle. You don't sleep. It's very difficult. You sacrifice free time, vacation. You sacrifice family. You sacrifice everything. You sacrifice everything when you become an entrepreneur. So let me just tell you that it is my perception that the number of entrepreneurs is a very small number. in any given population, the number of people willing to take that kind of risk to be an entrepreneur is very low because, people want stability. There are different kinds of people. People are creative and want to come up with a new idea. Some people are not. Rather than say, let's provide a universal basic income for every single one, including all the lazy millennials, instead of providing a basic income to every single zucking millennial, including the lazy ones, then why not provide funding? Private interests can benefit from a larger venture capitalist fund. A venture fund, a larger one. He has tons of money. He wants to give it to the zucking government. We'll put it in a zucking venture fund and encourage the few entrepreneurs that are out there to come up with ideas. Instead, you're going to give it to the zucking government so that every lazy bum out there is going to get a universal basic income and do no work and be a zucking socialist. What the zuck? That is what he believes in. What a zucking idiot. I'm going to tell you right now, what an idiotic idea. Totally idiotic to me. Totally idiotic to me. By the way, I'm going to post this on YouTube Live. I'm going to post this on YouTube Live, okay? I want everyone to see this. I want everyone to see this because it just upsets me. It just upsets me that he actually thinks that all you need is a universal basic income. It's actually just a code word for you don't have to work. His idea is that, and he understands this. His idea is that, and even Bill Gates understands this, that technology will wipe out many jobs. Technology will wipe out jobs. Technology will wipe out jobs. So what is he saying? That everyone then will lose their job and become an entrepreneur? And do what? Sell T-shirts? You're an entrepreneur because you sell T-shirts? If you sell T-shirts, does that mean that requires a universal basic income? Because we don't want to deprive society of people selling T-shirts? Because he says the benefit of society is that if you have a universal basic income, that somehow you will deprive, if you don't have this, you will deprive the world of an idea. And I said, wow, this guy has such a narrow view of the world based on his own personal experience, because he himself was an entrepreneur, so he figures everyone else thinks like him, and he only hires people on Facebook that think like him. Therefore, the world is made up of Facebook zucking employees. And that people on zucking Facebook go in there and everyone does not have any fear about big data and the fact that they can ruin the world with the leak of everyone's personal information in the whole zucking world under the control of some dictator. I mean, it's, what a zigzag, truly Zicko ideas. Zicko ideas. So he actually promotes the idea of the big real problem is global warming. And I'm like saying to myself, when the singularity happens, which is going to be thousands of years ahead of global warming, because it's going to come in the next, 25 years. So when the singularity happens, and just to remind you what the singularity is a time when computer AI, artificial intelligence, will be smarter than people. That means the robotics, the artificial intelligence will surpass our mind and therefore will be able to manipulate us. And he's saying that is not a concern to anyone, even though they're planning for the singularity. That is not of a concern to anyone. when first of all, AI means what the zuck do we do with our jobs when AI will take the place of most of them? I guess we just all need a basic income, and we can just let all the robots do all the work, and we don't have to do anything. And because we don't have to do anything, I guess the robots will decide everything, and maybe the robots will be the entrepreneurs as well. Or maybe he thinks that since we are doing we're leisurely hanging around at the pool and drinking our margarita or whatever at the pool, and that we're going to come up with some zucking idea that's going to be just awesome, and that will be a change society where it's 99.99% of us will fail, but who zucking cares? We get a universal basic income. To me, it's like such a one-track mind that completely misses out on some of the problems that are happening or going to happen in the near future, not in the far future. We are jumping so far into technology, and the guy that's in charge of your zucking data is so twisted in his ideas. We are really zucked. We are really zucked. Because he's the guy that is in control of the data, and his idea of what it's supposed to be used for completely misses the point of some issues that are more pressing. Does he actually spend his time analyzing what's going to happen when computers are smarter than people in the singularity, and it's going to happen as early as 2040? Between 2030 and 2040? So, around, 20, 25 years. He loves your reposted memes. What happens then? Aside from the fact that suddenly a central authority, and I don't mean government, because these are globalists here, just to explain to you, Zuckerberg doesn't believe in governments. Zuckerberg doesn't care what the government is. He calls he's a globalist. He's a true globalist. He said it in a speech. He actually made everyone stand and say, who are all the people who are at Harvard who are not citizens. And he actually, said, well, what's different about our millennials is that we're connected globally. Okay? So he doesn't believe in government anymore. Well, there's a problem here, guys and gals, ladies and gentlemen. There's a problem here. Because the data he collects is more powerful than government's data. He's collecting more data than any government. Therefore, what do you mean? Come on, Cassie, don't interrupt. Go listen to his thing yourself. What do you mean, I'm assuming? Go listen to this fucking speech. So he actually made the people from the various countries over at Harvard stand up, and he actually made everyone say, okay, who knows who are actual citizens, non-citizens here in Harvard graduating, and where are you from? And so they showed people from Africa and from Asia and so on, and how they're entrepreneurs even while they were still in college. And then he, went on to emphasize the globalization and on. He actually emphasized that. It was a big part of his speech, big part of his speech. The globalization was a very, very big part of his speech. Now here's the problem. The problem, of course, is that as a globalist, he has a kind of a different power than any government. He has more data. He has data for 2 billion people at the moment, and he wants to make that 3 billion. He wants to make that data for 3 billion people. Now, for 3 billion people, let's say he achieves his goal of 3 billion people, which is, zucking most of the people in the world that use zucking computers. Right now it's the majority already, but he wants to get it up to just about everyone. And suddenly he has data on every single one, and you don't understand the implications of that. When somebody has data as much as he has, you can control elections. What the fuck are you talking about? Southern beliefs? Are you even paying attention? Or you just came in here to just accuse me of something, and that means you're not even paying attention to what I'm talking about. So anyway, back to what I'm saying. When he came in and talked about being a globalist, it's kind of like, hey, we millennials are big into globalization. He really, whatever words he used, it doesn't make any difference. He actually promoted, and it's a very big part of his speech. It was a big proportion of it, and to enable somebody like him with a globalist idea, where he actually looks at nations as not important boundaries anymore. This is why he was complaining about immigration laws and all this. Because he felt like there was no reason for boundaries because of his belief that we're all connected. Again, it's such an idea of this guy that he lives in a dream world where I guess there's nothing bad. This world has nothing bad in it. Just like there's no possibility of bad things happening with your data, that no one can use it badly. He actually also thinks that, nations, there's no need to separate nations because there's nothing bad. Okay. Interesting. So we got people like, North Korean dictator here, or some mullahs in Iran, or ISIS people, or whatever, and they want to take over the world. And I guess, we can't worry about that anymore because nations don't mean anything. Wow, what a zigzag! Totally zigzag. I mean, it's like this guy has like no semblance of reality. It's like completely disconnected from the reality that we see. Does he not see the same reality I see? Does he have a different reality? Is he observing the world in a different kind of light? Does he not see all the fighting and the terrorists and all the stuff that goes on in the world? It's crazy. If you have one leader brainwashing people, then it makes it. Who's the one leader? Him? Here we are again with bringing U.S. politics into this, when this is not about U.S. politics. I'm tired of you bringing U.S. politics into this. This is not a U.S. politics issue. It's about Zuck's politics. Not about U.S. politics. Okay? Who am I talking about? What do you think this t-shirt says? It's not about, people will, again, focus on the politics of the U.S. and start to miss the whole point of what I'm trying to tell you. And then say, well, you don't understand anything about politics. You are so naive about politics. Zuck you! I'm not zucking naive about politics. I just don't talk about it. I just don't talk about the politics because it's irrelevant to what I'm talking about. I'm talking about a specific issue with one guy who has a different sucking idea of the world. He has a totally different idea of the world that is so disconnected from reality, I don't know what to say. Totally disconnected from reality. Maybe because he never had to work as a he basically came from school and directly went to being, a millionaire and then a billionaire. He didn't really go through the process of, typical person having to find a job, work their way up the ranks and all that. He doesn't have that kind of experience. He doesn't have that kind of experience. So he figures that his entire life is made of experience that somehow translates to everyone in the Zucking world, and most of the people in the world don't have his experience. Hey, Ray. So it's just, and unfortunately, this is like people, and what if Zucking runs for president in 2020? We are totally zucked. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. I just can't. What if he actually runs for president, this guy? What if he actually runs for president? It's like, president of what? He probably doesn't want to be president because he said, I want to be president of the world. I don't want to be president of the Zucking United States. So, I mean, it will be a sick world. Let me tell you, it will be a sick world. Let me just again, focus on immediate concerns here, rather than the few of you who are so concerned about global warming. Yeah, some of you here are very concerned about global warming. That's the biggest issue you have. Got it. Okay? But way ahead of global warming, if you believe that to be true, way ahead of global warming, we will be in the middle of the singularity. Again, if you don't understand what the singularity is, you need to start thinking about the effects of that on life, on politics, on society. And this is the biggest problem that you're going to be facing. And it's going to be a AI or singularity that is not based in government. It's not based in government. Do you understand why I said do not focus your attention on current U.S. politics? Do not focus your attention on current U.S. politics, because you don't even know what will happen in 25 or so years. How many elections is that? Not that many. In 25 years or so, the computers will be smarter than people. It will disrupt everyone's job. It will disrupt everyone's job. And these robots that will be smarter than you will also have knowledge of everything about you, including all of your Zucking DNA. And say, okay, you're unimportant in society, so therefore we need to get rid of you. And you're thinking, oh, this guy is tinfoil hatty. Zuck. Don't give me nonsense like that. I'm the opposite of tinfoil hat. I'm just talking about realistically what's going to happen. In case, again, you don't know this, I'm going to tell you right now, this is not a mystery. Everyone knows this, including Google. Okay, they're all planning for this. They're planning for the singularity. Again, singularity was invented by Ray Kurzweil. Ray Kurzweil wrote a book about the singularity in the 70s. He said, one of these days, computers will be smarter than people, and these are the consequences of that. Well, guess where Kurzweil works now? He's old now, and guess where Kurzweil works? He works for Google. He works for Google. Google is planning on the singularity. In fact, there's a movie you can watch that gives you a little bit of an idea, and that movie is Ex Machina. Ex Machina. This is actually kind of a Google-like movie. It's about it's like a movie about Sergey Brin or something. Ex Machina. Okay, spelled Ex Machina. Ex Machina. Ex Machina. That's how it's spelled, but it's pronounced Ex Machina. It's on X. There you go. Nelly put Ex Machina. Ex Machina. Ex Machina. Okay, Ex Machina. So Ex Machina is you can watch it on Netflix, and my ex is a Chinese. So X Spanish for machine. That is not anyway. I don't think that's that is not Spanish. So ex machina, ex machina. I believe ex machina is in Latin. So ex machina, we have no machines here in Mexico. Ex machina, it's probably Latin. Ex machina is about robots. It's about the Turing test. It's a Turing test. Yeah, EX is not Spanish. So come on. That is not what it means. So Ex Machina is about the Turing test, testing robots to see if they're who unfollowed you. Who unfollowed you? Why did you unfollow me? Who unfollowed you? Who unfollowed you? Did I unfollow you? I haven't unfollowed anyone in recent time that I'm aware of. So, well, I'll make sure. Is that like a hint to distract by saying I'm following you? I am following you. If you cut me, will I bleed? David, what's up, David? Good, my troll friend. Yes, Maggie, you are the troll friend. You are the troll friend. Anyway, back to what I was saying. Ex Machina is a story about. Ex Machina is a story about the singularity. It's actually a story about robots that are smarter than people. That's what the story is all about. If you watch that, and we're headed that way for sure, we are in fact headed to the way of Ex Machina. And by the way, you have to envision this new world here. You have to envision this new world. The new world is the new world is going to be talking about not just robots taking over jobs, but like I said, it impacts, who gets a job, what kind of jobs are replaced. Basically, every job that's mechanical will be replaced. You certainly don't need humans to sell hamburgers at McDonald's. There will be no need for humans to serve hamburgers at McDonald's at the drive-thru. Just, to give you an example. So basically, humans will have to have a intelligence that justifies them getting a job at a higher level than a robot. Unfortunately, because the robots will be more intelligent than people, then what jobs go to humans and what jobs go to robots? It's a very, very good question. And when you say it'll be one government, will government just be a imaginary line? Will government just be an imaginary line? What happens to people who we're dealing with people here? We're dealing with people, and people are imperfect. People make mistakes. People fight. People create bloodshed. People are want to steal other people's stuff. People are, some people are bad. Some people are good. Some people are bad. It's just a mix. We have human beings that are all, imperfect. We live in a world of imperfection, and apparently Zuck's world is perfection. We're all perfect. Therefore, he doesn't need to think about the effect of singularity on the rest of us. Will singularity cause a war against machines, for example? Will the singularity cause a war against machines? Because people would say, well, what the Zuck? We don't have any jobs. What are we going to do? And then suddenly they say, oh, no problem. We'll give you a universal basic income. Now you have people with nothing to do. And what are they going to do? Cause trouble. They're going to say, well, we have no meaning to life. Our life doesn't have meaning, so we're just going to, spend our lives in meaningless activity or non-activity, and society will change. But nobody cares about that. The issue is global warming. The issue is global warming. Nobody cares about that. We are close to it, Maggie. Wow. Maggie agrees with me. Maggie agrees with me, which is shocking. Shocking! Maggie actually agrees with me. So, and Maggie's a millennial, so that's actually, yeah, we are very close. The Google, and they're the ones closest to computers. Google, because they have Kurzweil on their payroll, actually, wrote in several things that I've seen that they expect, and certainly Facebook does too. We've heard from Facebook people that Facebook and Google expect the singularity to happen between 2030 and 2040. Well, that's not that long from now. Between 2030 and 2040, we're already in 2017, plus 20 years to 2037. So in 20 to 30 years, we are going to get zucked. And by the way, it's not immediate. In 15 years, we're going to be quite zucked already. It's not going to happen all at once. We might be zucked already at 15 years partially, and then we'll be totally zucked by the time it gets to 20 years. Well, think about it. That's not that many elections from now. That is not that many elections from now, and you guys are saying that the world is not going to change, so we've got to worry about all the little minor issues that we care about today. And it's like, yeah, that's how narrow you think. I don't think that way. This is why I am different. The reason I'm different is because I think a little bit beyond what normal people think about. Yep, D-Wave is here, but there's more. D-Wave is a... There are other kinds of quantum computers out there, and D-Wave is just one type. So the effect of the destruction of society with all the big data on each and every one person, plus the effect of society on jobs and skill levels at the ex machina level, plus the fact that AI will be smarter than people, is a disruption. It's a disruption that will come sooner rather than later, way before global warming becomes an issue. And no one is saying that's an issue. Nobody cares about it. Here's something that can happen to us in 20, 25 years, and we're saying we got to worry about global warming. Well, you may not need to worry about global warming because maybe there are no humans. Maybe that's what the intent is, that the robots will just build spaceships and send us all to space to populate other planets in 1,000 years, and then we don't have to worry about anything here because the robots will take over. This is not a joke. I mean, some of you think, well, this guy's so weird. He's talking about something like this. Well, unfortunately, Google believes this. That's why they hired Ray Kurzweil. Facebook believes this. It's funny that they believe this, but they believe this to be a good thing. What does Zuck, with the kind of attitude that Zuck has about life and about his expectations of society, he, in his twisted way, says, yep, I guess there can be no evil in the world, so this will be perfect. Machines will, let's keep going. Let's keep going. Let's not think about the effects of this. Let's not study the effects of this in society. Let's not study the effects of, putting all of our data into a central repository that we would be so scared to hand over to Hitler. Can you imagine that we are now handing out all of our data, every idea, every thought to a future Hitler? And it could be a world Hitler, not a Hitler of Germany, but a world Hitler. Scott. It's just zucked up, guys. Just totally zucked up. I'm totally zucked up. And totally government. Yes, Ranzo, the government was definitely part of the Google startup. Google became very big immediately because they were well funded by the government, because the government said, wow, we have a built-in spy machine here. Google. Built-in spy machine. So the National Zucking Agency funded Google. There were there's actually some connection with some groups, and some of the initial people heavily involved with Google were actually people involved with the National Zucking Agency. Yep. So it's all interconnected, and they're in fact part of it. Now it's kind of the reverse. Now, who runs the government? Because if somebody says in government, let's say Trump says, let's just say So let's just say that Trump said, Google, I despise you, Google. I need to get you out of government, so you will now lose all of your government contracts. They don't have the zucking power to do that anymore. They don't have the zucking power to do that. The data at Google, if the government had no access to that, will zuck up the government in a big way. Plus, they can blackmail anyone they want with all the information they have on Google. Hello, Art. And of course, we think, oh, there's no issue here. There's no issue. We've centralized everyone's location. We know what everyone's been, so that they actually can just do a search and say which government employee is having an affair. And as you know, some percent of the population will be having an affair, and or hiding other sexual preferences that they haven't made public and that they think will be embarrassing. In which case, just from location alone, they can find out who they are and use it to say, here, it's a blackmail list. Here's a blackmail list. So anyone who wants to affect us, we can make them zuck and fail. I mean, this is the kind of, the serious effect of too much data in the hands of one entity. Too much data in one entity, Google says, well, our stock prices are going down, so let's try to make some extra bucks. Let's use that information and say, let's track, things we can manipulate in the stock market based on our global idea of information. And same with Zuck. They have a global view of data, so they can say, okay, we now have patterns here that seem to indicate that there will be a merger and acquisition over here, or there will be a something is brewing. there's chatter of something brewing and the market will drop, in which case we got to short the market. There's other things that they can do with information they have that we don't have that allows them to manipulate, okay, that we don't have the ability to do. And so basically we've created a shadow government of Google and Facebook because they have power that nobody else has. And by the way, I'm going to be posting this on YouTube Live. I wonder what Google will do about my comments here. I'm going to post this on YouTube Live. I wonder what what the government, what Google will think about. Will they put a ban on me and say you're zucking, anti-Google, so we don't like you? I wonder what they'll do. They'll probably make me zucking disappear. I think anybody challenging my opinion here that I'm so zucked up, or are you realizing that maybe I have a slightly different view and that my view is not my view is not that weird. My view is not that weird. My channel name, I have two channels, but right now I'm using Braxman, the same one you see on the top there. My account on Google is Braxman, so please subscribe to Braxman. Some broadcasts I will not. I'll do directly to YouTube and to Braxman, and not through Periscope. So I did. I practiced piano, just a music scope. Music. Are you on vacation with Ron Waxman in London? Anyone can't see globalism in March is too. Don't think of globalism as just an isolated issue. You have to think about the bigger picture, which is the singularity. The singularity is the biggest concern. Again, to repeat, what is the singularity? The singularity is a predicted time in about 20 to 25 years when they expect that the computers will be smarter than people. When robotics will have AI that's smarter than you. That will affect the world in a big way. It will be the beginning of Skynet, the Terminator movie. They will have information about every single one of you, will know every one of your thoughts, as well as have more intelligence than each and every one of you. Okay, and even the billionaires like Elon Musk and Bill Gates have shown concern about the singularity. Google and Facebook don't seem to be too concerned, maybe because they have the zucking data. They think they can control the zucking robots. Okay, so in control, so that's why they're not concerned. The two entities that are not concerned about singularity, again, to repeat, are Facebook and Google. Why? Because they will create the singularity. They will create the singularity. Globalists are prepping the world now by destroying Western democracies. 23andMe is apparently owned by some Google people. Will I get a... By the way, kind of a side imagination of social media. I have an imagined social media environment for the future. Anybody ever seen or know about the website Second Life? Anybody has anybody heard of Second Life? Anybody heard about Second Life? So for those of you who don't know what Second Life is is basically a website that allows you to create an alternate reality and alternate environment, and you interact with people in secondlife.com or whatever the environment is. So you have an avatar and you create worlds and you create real maps and real locations. Go to a virtual bar, you hang out at a bar, and you're a good-looking blonde in the bar, even though you're a 300-pound man in real life, and you go out in the bar and act like you're some hot chick, and you talk, and you basically have a virtual reality. Well, let me tell you, Unfortunately, this is becoming more real. Periscope will be a version of Periscope will be in this virtual reality world, and will be some version of augmented reality. And by that, I don't mean augmented reality in your house. It may be that you actually interact in the real world in virtual reality, meaning you go into Paris and you hang around in a Paris street, and actually with your avatar that looks like whatever you designed it to be, you hang around with people. This is your Periscope, and you hang around with people. And instead of me saying right now, I would go to Flatfish Tuna Scope in the UK. Go to his scope in the UK and interact with him on the scope. I don't have to do that. In the future virtual reality, you're actually going to go to London with Tony from Flatfish Tuna, hang around with Tony, have a beer. Tony likes to have his beer, and actually sit at a pub and drink a beer with him and sit in front of him with your avatar, and interact, talking and moving and so on, just like a real world. So then you will actually walk around the streets and do all that and hang around and meet people without, when you're at home, you've turned into a 500-pound guy because you haven't been moving. All you do is eat all day and do virtual reality. Well, that is that vision of reality is actually realistic, because what will happen is that all of us just sit at home and physically unfit and propped up to life by drugs and surgery, and we then have a virtual world where we go out there and everybody looks slim and trim and so on, and you have all your imagined realities in this virtual world, and because of that, then the population will feel happy. The population will feel happy because you're giving them pleasure. So it doesn't mean that you don't need a job, because you just need a universal basic income. We'll just feed you, and you spend all day in virtual reality. Is this society as you see it? I'm a 500-pound guy. Is that society as you see it? Again, you have to think about what I'm saying. This is what technology is leading us into. And you have to, study the effects of this and say, is there is there anything that's going to stop this? Is there anything that's going to stop what I'm talking about? What I'm talking about, is anything unrealistic with what I'm saying, that this is not likely to happen? Or is there anything because we're headed there now. We are headed there. So the problem I have is that, if you realize what I'm talking about with the collection of big data, the globalization aspect of it, the fact that data is being controlled by a few people, the fact that there's a singularity, the fact that virtual reality being, our life, we're going to be interacting in virtual reality that we never actually have to go anywhere. The effects of what I'm talking about, these 5 things that I've just mentioned here, is so disruptive on society, and no one's actually thinking about that, and all we're thinking about is global warming. Well, this is an immediate. This is an immediate issue, because it changes the world in a drastic way, and it could lead to revolutions and civil wars and any number of things, because of people saying, well, I didn't want a world like this, and then we end up with more violence. This could lead to violence because and of course, because it leads to violence, the entities that are running the data will say, well, we have to strike out violence. So since we have information on anyone with a bad thought, well, let's just get rid of them all. Let's identify, persons of interest. Let's identify all the potential people. This is in the same book as 1984. Let's find out who has the potential for thinking bad, and let's get rid of them now. Let's get rid of them before they act on it. Just by having the idea, let's get rid of them. They will have to do that because they can't handle a revolution against this kind of society. Well, my gosh, this is fucking scary. I'm not only thinking about climate change. Are you Zuck? Zuck is only thinking about climate change. To Zuck, that is the biggest problem. So are you Zuck? Do you believe you're Zuck? Talking about Zuck. I'm talking about the people. Are you in control of the world, Cassie? Do you decide all the world's decisions? Are you the most powerful person with the big data? I don't have to worry about you, Cassie. I worry about those who control it. These are the people who control our Zucking future. Together with the Zucking millennials of today, that will be, and a few of them will be running our future. This is a Zucking big concern to me and my children. Yes, it's not much of a concern to me because I probably will say, well, it's sad, but I won't live that long. Okay? Who cares, Maggie? Who cares if global warming is real? There'll be a revolution before then. Zucking millennial attitude. Zucking millennial attitude. You got a bigger problem and you're going to say, let's put all of our energy on zucking global warming and forget about the bigger issue that society itself might fail way, way, way before all of that happens. Society might fail because no one is thinking about the effects of what the millennials today are doing for the future. Okay, bye. You like Facebook, go to Zucking Zuck book. If you think that what I'm talking about is unimportant because you think global warming is the issue, then go, leave my scope. Maggie, you are allowed to think about global warming as being important. I'm talking about if somebody's going to attack your Zucking border, do you say, oh, we got to think about global warming? Or do you say, I'm going to put soldiers at the border so I don't get attacked? Which one do you do first? Which one do you do first? Which one do you do first? So it's not about saying that global warming may or may not be a problem. I don't really care. That's way too far for me to worry about. I'm more immediate about something that's going to happen way too soon in 20 Zucking years. 20 years is not that long. Okay? 20 years is not that long. My gosh, we've already changed the world since Facebook came around. When Facebook and Google came around, we already changed the world. And a new change is going to happen, and we are going to be so Zuck, it's irreversible. So there's the problem. It's not that, I'm saying to those of you who believe global warming is an issue, it's not that I'm saying it's not an issue, but it's a 1,000-year issue. It's not a 20-year issue. You got an issue now. Marty, you go into any restaurant and it's all about sustainability. The main focus is sustainability. So all the buzzword of today is sustainability. Everything is about sustainability. Therefore, every thought and every idea is, this is the problem. Sustainability. Okay? So I go to a restaurant and they say, we believe in sustainability. Every university, we have a sustainability statement. Everything is about sucking sustainability, but nobody says we have a statement against about big data. We have a statement about privacy. We have a statement about the singularity. We have a statement about this disruption society that's going to happen in a short while. No, nobody has a statement about that because, let it creep up on us. I'm going to tell you right now that what's going to happen is in a few years, it's irreversible and there's nothing you can do because you don't believe me. And then when that time happens, well, you're already zucked. Too late. There will be a few of you that will be protected. The rest of you are going to be zucked. Doesn't matter. You have no control over it, Cassie. You'll be a nothing. We will all be nothings. Not just you, me too. We will all be nothings. We will be under the control of a few. Okay? We'll be under the control of a few. And it won't be a Republican-Democrat thing. I'm telling you right now. It won't be a Republican-Democrat thing. See, this is why I'm so angry at people who talk about politics like it's, everything is about all these immediate issues of Republican and Democrat. In 25 years, you will have a concern that has nothing to do with political stances. It will be a bigger issue, and neither Republicans and Democrats will have any control over it because it will affect their jobs in society. Because technology will bring it out, because no one thought about it. Because no one thought about it. No one thought about it. No one, yeah, it's about our country. There won't be a country. Look, Cassie, you're not paying attention to me. Cassie's not paying attention to me. Cassie is totally not paying attention to me and still focused on zucking politics. Still focus on zucking politics when I just told you who will have the power. Do not care what the politics are. They have the zucking power because they have the zucking data. And you're still saying, oh, it's about Obamacare. Oh, it's about, yeah. Oh my gosh. When they're controlling your DNA and saying, okay, we will decide who gets born, who doesn't get born. Because of your DNA, and you're going to say, oh, it's talking about Obamacare. They won't care about Obamacare. Don't be so shallow in your view and so short term. Who zucking cares? Right now there's a Republican, and in 8 years from now it could be Democrat again, and on and on and on. It cycles through life. And in the meantime, when all that happens, something else will be happening that's neither Republican or Democrat. And it's like, what the zuck? It's just collecting genomes. No biggie. So anyway, it's really bothersome for me to see here we are again. Back to the Russians. Back to the Russians. Back to the bring it back to zucking politics. Bring it back to zucking politics, Cassie. That is the most important thing to you. When I said who the Zuck cares, who the Russians are, when Zuck doesn't care about national boundaries. Zuck doesn't care about national boundaries. Oh, it's the Russians. The Russians will take over the U.S. Oh, Zuck. Russian economy is too small to be even of a concern to the United States, and you actually say, "Oh, it's the Russians." I mean, what a totally lead everyone into the wrong direction and say, "Okay, that's our main focus today. Then we're going to be focusing on the Russians. Let's not worry about Zuck. Let's not worry about Zuck. Let's not worry about Zuck." Let Zuck do it. Let Zuck and Google do all the data collection and create the singularity because we have to focus on the zucking Russians. What country? You don't care about that. You don't care about that. Zuck doesn't believe there will be. Zuck doesn't care what your country is. He doesn't care that it's Russia, not Russia. He doesn't care. He already said that. It's like, oh no, we got to focus on the Russia. Oh yeah, right, guys. That's just the agenda. because you want to destroy, because you are so short-term thinking about who the current president is, and that is all in your mind. And in 80 years, it'll probably be Democrat in 80 years, and then what? We need to wake up. Oh my gosh. You are not paying attention to me whatsoever. I'm wasting my time. You are not, Cassie, don't say anymore because you're just wasting my time. You're not paying attention to me. You just want to insert your agenda in here, and this is not what I want to talk about. Who cares, Cassie? Don't fucking care. Don't fucking care. Okay? All you're doing is distracting, taking out from the issue. Now you're going to go take over my Zucking scope and talk about the Zucking Russians for the next few minutes, and it's going to be all about the Russians, and that's going to be your Zucking agenda, and now everyone's going to forget about what I just Zucking said about the singularity. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. This is what I call short-term thinking. Short-term. It's like I'm like wasting my energy. I'm like talking to you about something so immediate of a problem that no one is, it's going to blindside you, and nobody's thinking about that, and we're going to talk about the Zucking Russians. That is not the agenda. The agenda is, I got to put this president down, so I got to talk about the Zucking Russians. Who Zucking cares? Go deal with that in a politics scope. Deal with that in a politics scope. Don't discuss it with me. Don't discuss it with me because I don't really care. It's just Zucking frustrating to hear. Anyway, it's whew. So just I feel like I'm talking to dead air many a night. I feel like I'm talking to dead air many a night when I'm talking about something so immediately such a big concern, and I don't have a solution. Don't have a solution because hello, base guy, I don't have a solution. Why are you interrupting me, Cassie? I'm not misrepresenting you. You keep pounding the same message over and over, completely misunderstanding me, and you keep doing it over and over. If you agree with me, you would just say, okay, then this is not the time to bring these issues up because it has just disrupting my message. You're disrupting my message. You're basically tainting my message with other things that are really nothing to do with this. Yeah, I don't even feel like playing music right now. I'm just so angry because I feel like I'm trying to open up people's eyes into a bigger problem, a much bigger problem. And it's like I'm gonna be somebody's gonna say, well, you don't know anything about politics. You don't understand oh my gosh. Just because you don't agree with me doesn't mean that I don't understand politics. Just because you don't agree with me doesn't mean I don't understand politics. And that wasn't you, Cassie. I wasn't related to you. You didn't say that. Somebody else said that. And it's frustrating to me because I'm trying to describe a situation here that is not really about politics, but it's about a disruption in society, that will occur because we are being blindsided with speeches like Zuck just gave at Harvard, which totally ignores issues that he can control. He can control. Zuck, Eric Schmidt, Jeff Bezos, these people are in control. And their control goes beyond any border. Their control is just so zucking powerful that no one has ever seen this kind of control ever in the history of mankind. It doesn't, by the way, let me just say this. Just because Zuck is in control of the data and can manipulate politics and so on, and just because Google can manipulate data and can manipulate politics, it doesn't change the fact that somebody in North Korea could pound us with a Zucking missile, ICBM. Or somebody in Iran might say, okay, it's time to shut the USA up. Or somebody, gets one of those missiles and sells it to some Zucking new version of ISIS. And it doesn't change that. So what happens is the world is still going to be tough because there's still Zucking weirdos everywhere. We still have Zucking weirdos who want to control the world. And now we're at cross purposes because we have people with the big data who can manipulate society. And then there are people who don't want to manipulate society, and all they want to do is control it through physical means because they have the bombs. They have the armament, they have the missiles, they have the submarines. I mean, that is a, Zucking situation I can't even describe to you. What is the world going to be like in that environment? How do we stop this? How do we stop this? I'm actually, Cassie, you're bringing to yourself, okay? If you could just quiet down for a moment, then you will not have any problems. But you keep going. All you have to do is pause, Cassie, and then we'll just, that is the question today. That is the question today, and part of it is first realization. Part of it is realization that there are different issues. If we don't show any concern about it now, we are going to be zucked, but this generation doesn't zucking care. This generation of millennials, and many of us are old now that, we're going to retire, and we're not going to zucking care about what happens to millennials in 25 years. So I have to appeal to my happy birthday, F1 boss. So those of us, who know millennials, like my children, I don't know what I'm going to tell them when, in 25 years, society might change, and maybe sooner than that, maybe in 15 years, it's going to start doing it. And then what do we do? And the only way to solve this is to say, let's not talk about non-issues. Let's be aware of other things that we are not thinking about, such as the attitudes of somebody like Zuck. His commencement speech at Harvard totally shook me up. Society will not change soon enough for the good way if we wait for a revolution to happen because we're not expecting this. The political turmoil that's going to happen when certain people are more powerful than governments, I don't know what that's going to do. So number one is we need to acknowledge that perhaps the issues of the day are not what you think. The issues of privacy is a lot more important to common life, to life as a normal person than we ever imagined, because it will impact society. It will impact jobs. It will impact control, domination, world domination, and we don't care. So let's put all our data on the Zucking internet. This idea of putting all our data on the Zucking internet is only an idea that started, in the 2000s and peaked out when Facebook came around. Before this was not a thought. Before this, it was not a thought. And now here we are. And now, how do we rise to this level of, talk about sustainability? It says unsustainable data collection. Forget about environmental sustainability. This is unsustainable data collection. Unsustainable. Try and avoid reading too much of your comments, Cassie, because yes, you're agreeing with me right now, but I don't know what you're going to say all of a sudden and just pound me with and take me off topic again. So to me it's unsustainable, the direction that we're going right now. So we're thinking about sustainability in environment. We're talking about unsustainability in society. Unsustainability in society. No, there won't be a one world government. There will be cross purposes governments controlled by the few, and then people with bad guys. You're not paying attention, Kazi. You're not paying attention to me. You have a one-track mind of what you're saying, and you're not paying attention to me. Although it's not about politics per se, you're not paying attention to me. No, Cassie, you are totally misinterpreting, because you say one world government. What did I just say? The bad guys will remain bad guys. Is there a reason why North Korea will suddenly become good people in the next 20-some years? Will the North Korean dictator, whoever it's going to be, are they going to be good people? There will always be some bad people. So now you have cross purposes. Governments controlled by the Zucks and the Googles, and then you have the bad guys. And how is that going to interact with each other? I don't know, because you can't control them with data. You cannot control a sicko with data, because the sicko, like Kim Jong-un, is not going to care about what you say about him. He's not going to care about the data. So now we have two entities that cross purposes. And then on top of that, we have a society that's going to be affected in a very big way by the changes in jobs and opportunities because of robotics and AI. And then distracted by the fun of virtual reality. I just, it's going to change. I'm telling you, life will change. Life will change. That's what I'm worried about. That life will change, and it will be too late, because we're not responding to it. Who talks of, look, people look at my scope and say, well, this is too serious of a topic. I don't want to hear this. I want to just talk about fun and see the sights in Periscope and see the world on Periscope through other people's eyes and just hang around. And we don't really want to talk about anything serious. So they look at my scopes and say, this guy talks about too many serious issues, and we don't really want to hear about that, because it's not fun. And Kim is a millennial. Is he really a millennial? I'm trying to get people aware, and it's a zucking struggle. Let me tell you, it's a zucking struggle. I'm on the radio. And I even struggle with my host on the radio, Bradley J. Bradley J is my host on the radio. I'm going to be on radio on CBS WBZ in Boston on Thursday. And I'm going to think to myself, am I wasting time with this guy? Maybe I should stop doing it on WBZ. Because this guy is like, he's like a typical millennial, a complete unbeliever. He's like, who cares? I don't care about privacy. I don't care about this. I don't care about that. It's like, and I'm saying, that's the attitude I got to deal with. And it's like, if you're a zucking disbeliever, then why am I wasting my energy? Maybe I should, spend my time on other things. It's so frustrating to deal. Yes, I will put this on YouTube. Yes, I will put this on YouTube. There will be other issues in immigration because there will be, again, cross conflict between the globalists of the world who have a different agenda versus nations and people, angered by the crazies. Because there will always be crazies. There will always be crazies. Who cares if you comment too much, Monica? Who's Monica? We don't know who Monica is. There is no Monica. Who is Monica? Is that a somebody? You will be quiet now. What? How does that? How does that identify you? I'm not sure it will because I'm a millennial times 2. Well, Zuck is over 30, but he still calls himself a millennial. Globalist Europe is doomed. You can't think about it like that because, again, I don't really know what the solution is because the globalists are in the U.S. The globalists are in the U.S. It's Zuck and Bezos and Eric Schmidt. They're in the U.S. So, and you're saying this is Europe? Think again. It's on our zucking borders. It's in our zucking borders. So, and I'm not saying that there are no good ideas with Zuck and Bezos and Google, by the way. Not saying that, except that they totally have control of data that they're being very quiet about. They have a lot of control and they're being quiet about it. And they're saying, and they label anyone like me that talks about this as being paranoid. This guy is paranoid. Okay? They label me as being paranoid because I'm describing a reality that's going to happen whether you like it or not. I mean, I don't think it's of any mystery to what I'm talking about with this singularity and robotics and AI and the effect on society and the big data and all this, that this is not real. I mean, this is going to happen. It's, this is where we're leading to. So there is no doubt that I can't think of anything that will stop it right now. I honestly don't know what will stop it. Maybe something will cause it to get delayed, but nothing will stop it. So the question is, what do we do about it? Instead of coming up with some rules that says we don't want Big Brother. Back in the day, one of the reasons that we don't have a national identification card in the U.S. was because of 1984, the book. Big Brother. People were against the book against what was in the book 1984 because it suggested a communist dictatorship, which is what the 1984 book suggested. And so our nation was founded on not having Big Brother IDs and centralized IDs, and here we are. We brought into ourselves with facial recognition that will now be replacing digitized IDs because your face will be your ID. Your face will be your ID. What makes you think it hasn't happened before? Because no one has big data like we do before. Nobody has big data. Big data is predictive. Big data is not just about being able to look back. Big data is about being predictive and say, we know who will think this. Our statistical research shows that the following people are likely to fight us. Therefore, we can get rid of them now. So this is going to happen. Social change will only come with true revolution. Well, do you want a physical revolution where we have to fight with our guns? Or do you want a social revolution where we fight with ideas? And I'm going to tell you right now that this generation, which will be leading us into the future, have a sixth sense of ideas. Sixth sense of ideas. Well, automated cars are robots. You say, well, robots are far away, but we already have the self-driving cars, and a self-driving car is a robot with wheels. It can direct itself. It's a robot. It can follow instructions. The only thing is it doesn't have legs. It moves fast on a car, and it can hit things. So, so basically the technology for RoboCop is already in the driverless car. All you have to do is put weapons on it, and we do have that now. We got drones. The police are now using drones. So now, armed drones. Well, they're using armed drones in Israel, so you got the armed drones. Okay, so you got the robotics. By the way, the driverless car technology, the AI for that came from Israel. Yeah, just to make sure that's clear. And they're the ones with the self-powered, self-controlling drones that fire weapons. Those drones are the ones going over, the West Bank in the sky, spotting and self-directing, self-targeting. The human I read about this some time ago, and basically the humans just have to say fire. It already aims and does everything. It's self-directing. It just spots who the target is, and all they have to do is say fire. They only limit it to when they fire. So the basic AI for it's already there, and that's what's powering your driverless cars from the same country that developed that the technology for that. It's self-driving car, and now you're saying, well, drones, self-powered drones, self-driving cars, and self-ambulating robots. Okay, so goodness. You don't even realize it's like right in front of you already. It's right in front of you already. We're already there. It's crazy. Crazy. Voting online. Wow. Yeah, the problem with that is at some point they will make if you vote online and controlled by central authority, anything controlled by central authority is always suspect because no one can cross-check it. So don't worry about the driverless cars. That's not what you worry about. Worry about is the robots that they represent. The driverless cars represent robotics. This is the robotics of the future. So it's already here. So they'll be sold in the next couple of years. You're going to have robotic cars. i.e. driverless cars. And now I saw another prediction that they said driverless cars will not take off in popularity immediately. It's going to take like 10 years or more before they become popular. Okay, instead of 2 years, 10 years. Okay, that might slow that down, but that doesn't stop them from making the robots. So the first thing that's going to happen is they're going to put robotic guards at the stadiums that can go with facial recognition, stand at the stadiums and go look for terrorists. I'm telling you, that is going to happen for sure. It's already happening with facial recognition as you enter the stadium. So why not do it, circulating robots? They're, selling you hot dogs at the same time or looking around and seeing what's out there. I mean, seriously. The technology is here for this. Look at Boston Dynamics, Google company. Boston Dynamics. So it's basically it's trying to expose you, basically exposing you to a different view of the future from me. My view of the future is a view of the future that no one seems to be watching, and I'm seeing it closing up on us, and no one's watching it. Anyway, I'm going to post this on YouTube. I'm going to post it. By the way, they had a video of them kicking a robotic dog and how it recovered. So the robotic dog was able to recover from a kick. That was actually a Boston Dynamics demo. But anyway, I'm going to post this on YouTube, and in spite of all the infighting that we've had on the scope, yes, Cassie, you may have agreed with me, but then you took it off, and I didn't like the way that you took it off to a different subtopic, which distracted from this bigger issue that I'm talking about. This is why I'm so unconcerned about immediate politics, because politics in the current world is an ever-changing thing, and it goes one way or the other. It's a cycle. It always goes back and forth, okay? So I don't worry about politics too much. It goes back and forth. The problem is the stuff I'm talking about is not going back and forth because no one's battling the other side of it. I'm on my own battle list, like nobody's battling it with me. I'm like doing it by myself. I'm going to post this on YouTube, and what are the people on YouTube going to say? What are they going to say? Well, hey, this guy is talking against zucking Google. This guy is talking against zucking Facebook. We better not give him any visibility. Let's do some AI and sense what is being said here, and use Jigsaw, the Google AI, Jigsaw, to wipe him off the face of the earth on Google so that nobody hears what I say. This is the kind of crazy stuff that I feel is going to happen. So in any case, I'm not going to worry about it. I'm going to post it on YouTube Live. I'm going to broadcast this live right after this, and as a replay, and we'll see what happens. I'm going to broadcast it live, and then hopefully you guys, you ladies and gentlemen, share it to a lot of people. Please find me on YouTube. My YouTube, I'm going to post this under the Braxme account. I'm going to post this on the Braxme account. So search for Braxme and you'll find some prior broadcasts. And please let's share the message, because I just want this to be heard, because there's another point of view other than Zuck's point of view. There's another point of view. Zuck has one point of view and I have my own point of view, and hopefully there will be a balance and not one-sided. Not one-sided, twisted view of reality. That's what happens when you don't zucking finish college. That's what happens when you don't zucking finish college like Zuck. He didn't study his humanities. Zuck didn't study humanities. So he has no sense of, anthropology and sociology and theology and all of these things that give you a bigger picture of life, philosophy. He doesn't have that. So he doesn't, it's all this mechanics to him of, programming and be a billionaire and being successful at doing one thing, and that's collecting zucking data and making money from it. Of course YouTube is a sellout. So, that's what I'm fighting against. That's what I'm fighting against. So anyway, I'm going to just close this off with the anonymous tune. And I'm going to share it on YouTube after this. Okay, so I'm gonna be posting this on be posting this on YouTube. So I appreciate if people who are on YouTube will if you would subscribe to my account Braxme, and then and share this scope as many places as you can, so that so my message is heard. So I do appreciate that. It's a very serious message. It's, as you can see here, I'm not reaching people here anymore. I think people are thinking that whatever I talk about is tinfoil hatty, and they don't really realize that this what I talk about is of utter seriousness. So anyway, I allow Toby Smith. Unfortunately, I'm not a political scoper, and I do believe in freedom of speech, and I don't mind disagreement. I don't mind. You're on the inside, so what does that mean? I don't mind disagreement. I just want to make sure that if I disagree with you, and then I'm going to call you out. So I don't want a one-sided scope where I don't see the other side. I want people to speak to me, and I'll respond back to you. So that's I'm going to say you're aware of the technology. Of course, I'm aware of the technology. That's why I'm warning you. There's a difference about others and me. I'm an insider, and because I'm an insider, I can choose to tell you what's going on, or I can choose to just keep it to myself and take advantage of the data. I can form a social media aggregator company, make lots of money, collect all your data, sell you out, and spend all my time just spending the money that I made from you. Or I'll do what I'm doing, which is a little bit more difficult, and that's to get you on the other side of the idea. And it's a big struggle, folks, because there's easier ways to make money. Easier ways to make money. And I did make an app called Brax.me. I made an app called Brax.me, which you see on there. And the Brax.me app has live streaming, and it's about privacy. It's about privacy, and it's about hiding yourself on the internet so that you do not feed the machine that Zuck and Google represent. That is what I'm trying to do. And it's a hard battle, let me tell you. It's a hard battle. I'm not going to be the billionaire. I'm not going to be the billionaire. I'm not going to be of any importance to a Zuck, because, I don't have a chance. But I'm going to speak out as much as I can the hard way. I'm going to battle it the hard way. His YouTube is Braxme, no dot. Yes, Brax space me. If you put Brax.me, some other things will come up. You will find it eventually, but it's better just to search for it directly. The account is Brax space me without the dot, because they don't allow me to put the dot. Okay, the account doesn't have a dot, so they don't allow me to put the dot on. So please support my YouTube account so that this reaches more people. And share it everywhere. Share it at YouTube. What I'm going to do is, for the next 2 hours, I'm going to retransmit this on YouTube Live. I'll retransmit it live right now. Yes, Starlight. I'll retransmit it to YouTube Live, so you won't see it as a replay yet. It'll be later, in 2.5 hours. It'll be a replay, but at least follow me now, and you can check on the replay tomorrow. Okay? Thank you very much, my friends. You are awesome, and I appreciate being able to speak here. Thank you so much. Good night.